Hello there and welcome to the EU Observers Chat Show. Let's talk about EU. With me today to discuss the topic of the Roma people in Europe is the Dutch MEP and member of the Alliance of Liberals and Democrats for Europe, Sophie in 't Veld. British MEP and co-chair of the European Parliament's Group for Freedom and Democracy, Nigel Farage, and Hungarian MEP from the group of the Progressive Alliance of Socialists and Democrats here in the European Parliament, Ginke Gunz. Thank you very much for joining me, and thank you very much for watching. So without further ado, let's talk about EU. Now, with a population of roughly 10 million, Roma people, otherwise known as gypsies or travellers, make up the biggest ethnic minority in Europe. Now, although most Roma are EU citizens, many are characterised by discrimination, social exclusion, unemployment, poverty and expulsion. Now, France is currently attracting international attention for its controversial crackdown on Roma, relating them to crime and immigration, a move that has attracted the attention of all. But it's not the first time that a member state sends Roma people home. So now that the European Parliament condemned the rise of anti-Gypsyism in Europe, and MEPs have been working on a Roma inclusion strategy for years, I would like to ask my guest MEPs what they think. So the first question, a security threat? Would you agree that the Roma are a security threat?
Well, that's what the French are saying. I can't really comment on that. What the Roma or what any uncontrolled large-scale migration does pose a threat to, though, is the whole cohesion of a society. And really, you know, what Sarkozy's done, whether we like the way he's done it or not, and it appears to be a bit distasteful, but it does get to the heart of the relationship between the member states and the European Union. And I would argue, firstly, that we should never have allowed Romania and Bulgaria to join the European Union because the discrimination against the Roma people in those countries is horrific. And I've been to Roma camps, I've talked to Roma people, and I mean, frankly, they're not treated much better than the Jews were in the mid-1930s in Germany. That's how horrid it is. Mm-hmm. So we should never have allowed them in. And secondly, you know, if the president or prime minister of a country doesn't have the right to say who should come to live, work and settle in their country, then, you know, do their own population realise just how much power this European project's got? So this is a really fundamental debate about the European Union, and do the peoples of Europe really want this?
Ms. in 't Veld, what do you think?
Well, you said some things that I agree with. The discrimination and exclusion of Roma people and stigmatizing them is indeed horrific. It's nothing new because they too were a target of the Nazi regime during the Second World War. I do feel, however, that if we expect all citizens, including Roma people, to respect the law, then we should also insist that governments respect the law. We have European and international rules on who can stay in the country, on what conditions. Collective expulsion or deportation of people is simply illegal. So what France is doing at the moment is illegal. And it's also immoral, because the question is, if we all recognize that the Roma people are living under very difficult circumstances, very difficult conditions. They are very poor, they are uneducated, they are marginalized, and very often indeed there is also a lot of petty crime. But the solution to that is not expelling people. The solution is trying to integrate them, make sure that they participate fully in the community. And to conclude, I disagree with one thing that Nigel said. Traveling is not a crime. And I don't think that the cohesion of society is at risk as long as we recognise that a society is diverse.
Well, we accept that these people are badly discriminated against in their own country. From 2014, there'll be absolutely no possibility of Sarkozy sending people home because they will have total rights of movement and work, and all the transitional arrangements will have ended. You know, what happens if, say, 2.5 million Roma want to move to France? Because under the rules, they'll be allowed to. And that's the prospect we face. Some of these, I mean, for example, over 1 million Poles came to Britain in 18 months. You know, it's very difficult when you bring down, when you get rid of the boundaries, don't be surprised that populations are worried.
Well, Mrs. Gunter, jump in there just to get...
Yes, I would like to say some words. The context is important. Roma were discriminated, and it is the task and responsibility for the member states and also for Europe to integrate people, including Roma people, in France, in Romania, in other countries as well. And also Europe needs Roma because it is a large minority. It means means that they should be integrated into the labor market. It's a very young group of people, a very young community. It means that we cannot allow ourselves not to work on this integration in one hand. On the other hand, the strength of Europe is the free movement. It is based on the rights of people moving around, somehow working in different countries if they are able to work. And what is very dangerous, if we are speaking about a group of people based on ethnicity, as criminals, we speak about the group of people who are causing problem for some countries, which is not true. I think there are some Roma who are very well integrated, also in France, and many of them who are well integrated in other countries as well.
And if you look at the case of France, first of all, out of the roughly 400,000 Roma people and travelers and the different groups, 95% have French nationality. They're French citizens. They cannot be expelled. So it is largely symbolical what Sarkozy is doing. And what I personally find extremely cynical is that Sarkozy himself is the son of Hungarian refugees who got shelter. They got a warm welcome in France. And look how he's treating other people. And I still find, apart from the legality of the issue, paying €100 in order to deport children, I find immoral, unacceptable in 21st century Europe.
It may be distasteful. It may be very distasteful, yes, the way, and I made that point. But, as I say, from 2014, the transitional arrangements end. We are facing the prospect of possibly many millions of Roma going from relatively poor countries to much richer countries. And frankly, is that sustainable? And doesn't that pose a threat to the cohesion of society?
I don't think that it
they're not scare stories.
They're scare stories.
No, they're not.
Yes, they're scare
stories. No, they're not, because they will be able to.
They have always been scare stories.
They will be.
But I don't think that it is the
reality.
So. I don't think it's the reality, because all of these countries, I know the most, the Hungarian situation. Hungary has been doing a lot for integrating Roma, and it is a very difficult and very complex situation. On one hand, it is deteriorating because there was a full employment before the transition in all of these countries. Also, Roma were integrated, they were working, they were integrated into the lower strata of the society. After the transition, many of them lost their jobs. Now they are generations who never seen anybody working. But there is also a growing intellectual group of Roma who are graduating, who are integrated more and more into the societies. It is not a static situation. Therefore, I don't think that it's a well-based fear. I think that it is a shared responsibility to work towards.
There are 4 million Roma in Romania, and only a tiny fraction of those people have got any university education or any real chance.
Of these people left the country and
logically,
arrived in France.
They'll leave, won't they?
There are some thousands and not millions who went to France. Therefore, I don't think that's realistic.
And as MEPs, you have actually been in touch with the Commission twice in recent times to fight against this anti-Gypsyism, but the Commission has been quite slow to react. Do you think that's having a negative impact on member states and on how they're treating the Roma? And what can we do to integrate the Roma?
I think what you observe is absolutely right. The Commission is very strict in enforcing, for example, market rules, and sure. I congratulate them on that. But if they were equally strict on imposing fundamental rights, and for example, immigration
the
policies,
Commission a champion for fundamental rights, according to the President of the European Commission.
Yeah, well, he congratulates himself. That's wonderful. But I don't think that the Commission is doing very well on fundamental rights. They will have to scrutinise very closely if what France is doing, and some other countries as well, indeed, but less noisily than Mr. Sarkozy, but if that is in accordance with the law. And there are some aspects. For example, the fact that this is a collective expulsion, that is clearly against the rules.
Mm-hmm. Now, according to a recent Eurobarometer, 80% of Europeans have a slightly negative attitude towards the Roma population, and 1/4 said that they wouldn't like to have a neighbour who was of Roma origin. Now, I would like to ask your opinion on that, but before I do so, I would just like to show you a little clip, a little video that we shot here in Brussels the other day to find out what people in the street feel about Roma.
Sur l'expulsion des Roms, c'est un peu malheureux. La France a pris une position seule et n'a pas suivi les recommandations de l'Europe, et donc c'est un peu malheureux.
I've seen the things on the television about what's happened there, and I think maybe Sarkozy went a little bit too far about it.
But I think that what France is doing right now is fair enough, because not all of them are in France due to law. I think it's fine.
Roman people are not so well integrated in France. So they live a bit their lives on their own, and it's a bit also the task of the people and the task of the government to get them integrated.
Moi, je trouve que la politique de toute façon en France n'est pas du tout bonne, et je pense qu'il y a beaucoup de Français qui pensent pareil, mais je pense que ça va changer dans les prochaines élections.
I don't know the Roman community, to be honest.
On n'a pas vraiment de place pour accueillir ces gens. Ils doivent vivre aussi. Oui, ils ne me font pas de mal, hein. Mais c'est peut-être dans un délai, respecter un certain délai.
But a lot of our friends, we've got friends up in Yorkshire, and they've been told about how they've ruined the land and just trashed the areas, and a lot of thieving going on. And then friends in Ireland have tinker problems with them coming into the bars and ruining the bars.
Set themselves up in their own little enclosures, but they kind of stole from the local shops, which isn't ideal. But
a mí los gitanos no me parece mal que estén en el país, pero siempre que respeten a los demás.
Je ne sais pas si c'est un problème délicat, je crois que bon, tout le monde est un petit peu, tout le monde se demande un peu ce qu'il faut faire. Ils vivent pas comme nous, mais peut-être qu'on devrait accepter aussi les gens qui vivent pas comme nous.
Pues nada, los gitanos, yo respeto sus costumbres, sus opiniones, pero no se quieren integrar, y ellos por un lado y nosotros por otro, porque somos muy distintos en cultura y en forma de verlo todo.
Il faut aider les peuples, les gens souffrants. Ils sont en difficulté. Si vous voyez quelqu'un se déplace d'un pays à un autre, peut-être ça ne va pas. Hein. Et voilà, leur mode de vie en Europe, on voit quoi. Il y a des pauvres, il y a des riches, il y a des pays qui ont tous les moyens, il y a d'autres qui n'ont rien aussi. Quoi. Et néanmoins, ils sont dans l'Union européenne. Quoi.
So a variety of opinions there. What is the solution?
There is no easy solution, but what we've done is we've made a fundamental mistake in allowing countries like Romania and Bulgaria to join the European Union when we knew, not just on the levels of corruption, but we knew that there was a large minority that was being heavily discriminated against, and we turned a blind eye because the European empire wants to expand, and now the problem isn't just in those countries, it's a problem for all of us.
Sinfel, just to wrap it up there.
Well, we knew that they were heavily discriminated against, and still and are being discriminated against today. That is a problem. But I actually think the fact that Bulgaria and Romania are in allows us to work with them and with some other countries to find solutions. You're right in saying the solution is not easy. It will take a lot of time because you have to invest in, let's say, the new generation, and that's why I'm so horrified by the fact that they are even expelling children. Children should not be expelled; they should be sent to school. I think that is the start of everything. Without education, we're not going to achieve integration and full participation of these people in society.
Why should the French taxpayer pay for it?
No, because
may
I say one thing?
Because just commenting on your what you were saying, I think enlargement was very favourable for many old member states. It doesn't mean just that also poor people and poverty arrived in Europe, and I think that integration is the only solution. Integration in all countries, integration of children, but also integration of the older generation.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. I'm afraid we've run out of time. Thank you very much for joining me here today, and thank you very much for watching. You can obviously continue this debate by leaving a comment underneath the video or writing to us at video@euobserver.com. But for the moment, from me and from my guests here in the European Parliament, thank you very much for watching. Take care and goodbye.